welcome to today's Team Clueless Battle Report. Today we're playing a rather large two-table game with the Zone Mortalis broken out for use once more. The game is called Bomb the Base. There's a bit of fluff behind it which I'll very quickly go through. So the Imperial forces, you'll notice them all arrayed on the table because I don't have any sideboards or anything to stick them on, are here to put a bomb inside the Chaos Base, which is buried deep within the planets. There's only one planet. So the idea is we have objectives on the table just for scoring points. So where did you put your objectives? So they have that table edge over there. It's standard Dawn of War deployment. They have an objective there, and on the top table I have an objective here. And then if we move down to the bottom table, they have this side of the table, which is also Dawn of War deployment on the Zone Mortalis, and they have an objective there, and I have an objective there. So they're worth 3 victory points for scoring as usual. In the centre of each table we have a cyclonic device, a bomb as it were, which are going to follow the rules for relics. So there's one there, and if we move back onto the big table, sitting at the feet of the Space Marine statue is another bomb. So if you're carrying one of those bombs at the end of the game, you score 2 extra victory points for carrying a bomb. Well, it makes sense somewhere, but if you manage to get the bomb onto the bottom table, if you're an Imperial player, you score 2 extra points for every bomb on the bottom table because you're trying to get the bombs inside the Chaos Space. The Chaos side get extra points if they got the bombs onto the main table, out of their base, so they score 2 extra points for every bomb that is outside their base at the end of the game. So there's quite a few points tied up in the relics, or bombs. To make it easier to move them around, in this mission the elite choices in each army are also scoring, although vehicles that aren't dreadnoughts, so tanks and stuff, aren't allowed to move around the relic. But the elites can move around the relics and stuff because they're scoring, but they're also worth an extra victory point. Similar to in Big Guns Never Tire and the Scouring, the heavy and fast attack get to be scoring but are worth points. So that is the game, and it's 1,500 points an army, so there are 2 Space Marine armies over there, so 3,000 points of them versus 3,000 points of Chaos.
Okay, so today I am taking this army of Black Templars, or the Crimson Templars as we are calling them. The Crimson Templars are led by this chaplain, who is just a standard chaplain with a combi flamer, and this Tech Marine who has a servo harness. And then we have 3 big squads of Crusaders. So this is the first Crusader squad. There, as you can see, they've got bolt pistol, close combat weapons, and they have a flamer. We have this big squad of Crusaders, again 20 strong, and they've got bolters, and they're carrying a las cannon and a plasma gun as well. And then we have a slightly smaller squad of 14, and they have got 2 power fists along with their close combat weapons and bolt pistols. So the 14 Crusaders and the 2 headquarters characters all fit snugly into this Land Raider Crusader with multi-melter upgrade. And then rounding out the 1,500 points, I have the Thunderfire Cannon, which is always a good friend to Space Marines everywhere. We're trying out the new Stalker tank to shoot down the inevitable flying dragon. And we also have a Storm Talon with the Skyhammer missiles.
And I'm bringing the contingent of the Scarlet Hands. Yeah, whatever, carry on.
Just murdered the fluff.
The fluff is dead, long live the fluff. We have a Terminator captain, or who is actually a pygmy midget mascot of the proper size Terminators, because he's an old model and they're much larger, who's leading a squadron of assault Terminators, a couple of lightning claws and 4 Thunderhammer storm shields. He's got a power fist for himself. We have an assault squad who are rocking a power fist and 10-man unit for a bit of mobility. We have over here a tactical squad with melter and flamer. And we have a missile launcher with flak and a grav gun in the other tactical squad. Got a Rhino for mobility for 1 and a Razorback, that'll do. With las cannon and dual plas for extra firepower. Technically a dedicated transport, but I don't think anyone's going to be riding in it. It's just another gunship for us. Talking of gunships, we've got a Storm Raven.
Nice segue.
Absolutely. And that's got a multi-melter and dual las cannons, because I know for a fact that he will be taking soul grinders because he's obsessed with them. He wants soul grinder babies, so we need a bit of firepower to hurt them. And then we've got 2 dreads. That is an ironclad with dual heavy flamer, and that is a standard dread with assault cannon power fist. And that's it. And just as a note, so you've got, they all look suspiciously similar because they're all Mike's models. So we've borrowed loads and loads of Mike's models, and he's still got loads and 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 loads left. And there's a cupboard out there with loads and loads and loads more. Yes, he's got a lot of miniatures.
So, speaking of the fact that I own loads of models, here's the double Chaos I'm bringing today, and
detachment.
and up there are still loads of Chaos models, but that's by the by. So, we are bringing today the Chaos Space Marines first of all. So, we are led by a Terminator Lord. He's got blessed by Nurgle, and he has a Power Fist and a Lightning Claw to give him a better choice of Batty in combat. He has with him 4 Terminators. They've got a couple of axes. I think they've got a Power Fist in there. No combi weapons. And then there is a squad. Oh, sorry, and they're Nurgly blessed to go with him. We have a squad of 3 Terminators. They've got 2 Combi Melters and a Combi Flamer, and I think a Chain Fist. They're going to be a bit of a Termicide unit, and they're blessed by Tzich. We have a Land Raider with a Dirge Caster on top. Oh, and I've even remembered to actually stick the Dirge Caster on it. We have a Helldrake with Bale Flamer. I'm sure you're shocked about that. I know Chris was. We have a Rhino with no upgrades, and there's going to be transporting around 8 Plague Marines who are there. They've got a Power Axe and 2 Melter Guns. We have a squad of 5 Plague Marines. They've got 2 Plasma Guns. We have 3 Chaos Spawn. I'd like you to ignore the redness of them. They're obviously kind of like festering sores have broken out on their bodies because they're actually Nurgle blessed. And lastly, we have 2 Obliterators who, yes, you've guessed it, they're Nurgle blessed. So that's 1,500 points of Chaos Space Marines, but they have brought their demonic allies. They are led by a Great Unclean One. Because we've got the Zone Mortalis, I thought he'd be pretty useful in there. I could only afford a level 1 sorcery on him, but he rolled up Warp Speed, which is pretty special on him. Then I did the Chaos Gifts. He's got himself the Portaglyph, and he got a Greater Reward, which is giving him Feel No Pain 4+. And when I rolled on the Exalted Rewards to get the Portaglyph, I rolled a 1. So he's also got an Instant Death Poison Sword as well. So I was pretty pleased with that result. So after him, troop-wise, we have 20 Demonettes. They've got no upgrades at all. And I was really struggling for points. So I broke them out from the cupboard Chris mentioned of models that have gone there to die. I broke out 3 bases of Nurglings because they're the cheapest thing I could squeeze in the army. I have 10 Fleshhounds of Khorne. They're led by a Khorne Herald on Juggernaut. He's got the Locus of Fury. He's got a Lesser Chaos Reward, which has given him an AP2 sword. No, he's taken the AP2 axe that can cause instant death. Then we have, hiding behind the Obliterators, we have 3 Flamers, because in the Zone Mortalis, if any of you out there haven't played Zone Mortalis, probably most of you, there's a couple of special rules in play there, but the most important one is generally that template weapons get to re-roll to wound. They basically all get shred. So that's quite handy, so I've taken 3 of those. We then have 8 Screamers of Tzich, and they are led by a Tzerald, or a Tzich Herald, and he is on a disc. I can only afford a level 2 Psyker. I'm not trying to make this into a Screamer star, honest, but he has the Grimoire of True Names there as well. So he can give them all a pretty useful save, and they're all fast and nice. Psychic power-wise, he didn't roll particularly well. He got Prescience as 1, which is obviously awesome, and then he got Scryer's Gaze, which will be useful, but not super useful. Lastly, rounding off the army are the 2 Soul Grinders. So we have a Soul Grinder of Nurgle. He's got a big kind of like ball of phlegm spit he can take, and the other one is a Soul Grinder of Slanesh, so he can sprint upfield and chop up Space Marines, and he has the Baleful Torrent Flame Weapon. And that is 3,000 points dedicated to the glory of Chaos.
Okay, the Imperial Crimson Alliance has won the roll to see who goes first, and we have elected to put in Chaos to bat. So, Mike has lined up his Chaos along this is the main table, the above the ground. We can see Soul Grinders, we've got Khorne Fleshhounds led by a Juggernaut mounted Herald. Then moving up the line, Obliterators, Land Raider, the Rhino cheekily reversed up to cozy up to the Land Raider there. There's a unit of Plague Marines hiding beside the Land Raider. They're all clustered around this Land Raider because his Warlord, which is on board, is giving everything within 12 inches hatred to Chaos Marine. Preferred enemy to Space Marines, which is pretty nice for him.
What was your Warlord trait?
We are getting to use our Warlord's leadership when we're within 12 inches of him. We've got the second soul grinder here, and then the Screamer Council down the far end.
It's not a council, there's one dude. That's not a council.
Okay. We'll leave a comment. Do you think this is a reasonable unit to take or not? Over this side of the table, we've got our big first of the big Crusader squads here, which are going to try and hold this objective. We've fortified these woods with one of our tech marines. We've got an empty Las Plaz Razorback here, which is also trying to help out. A little tactical squad here with a grav gun. The Land Raider, which has got another Crusader squad inside it with the Chaplain and the Tech Marine, and it's shielding a Rhino and a Stalker. The Rhino's got a multi-melter in the back, so it's going to be using that as a little turret. We initially thought we were going to put the Terminators down below, but actually looking at what the forces that were arrayed against us, they're really not Terminator-friendly enemies to fight against, so the Terminators have decided to come up to the top and see if they can help out on the surface. We've got a tactical squad with a flak missile launcher here and the Thunderfire battle cannon. So that's the surface. Now down in the dungeon of the Chaos Fortress. There's some Chaos Spawn, and then most of the Chaos Fortress has not got that much stuff in it. We strongly suspect a portal glyph will be protecting this objective. And then we've got the big unit of... I don't think those demonettes are in coherency at the moment, which we'll fix in a moment.
I'll swap one for a flamer in a sec.
We've got big unit of demonettes and the flamers and the great unclean one down in the fortress. Mike, what have you still got in reserve?
I have the Terminators and some Chaos Plague Bearers in their vehicles, and I have 3 Chaos Terminators with combi weapons in reserve, along with the Helldrake and the 3 Nurgling Swarms who aren't doing anything.
Of course, we need to be really concerned about those Nurglings. We'll be keeping a close eye on where they come down.
What have you got in reserve? You've got your 2 flyers, haven't you?
2 flyers and that's it. So forces of the Imperium, which have managed to infiltrate the Chaos base. We have the 3rd Crusader squad, which is taking up all this space here. Some Assault Marines have bravely decided to jetpack around inside here. That's possibly folly, we'll soon find out. The 2 Dreadnoughts, and then a cheeky 5-man tactical squad protecting our objective. So the Chaos Marines are up to go first, but there is night fighting in effect. Turn 1 coming right up.
Forces of Chaos, turn 1. Now, I have this reputation, apparently, I agree with it, but that I'm not very good at turn 1 of the game, and I carried that through this turn. I think I killed 80 of their points and only killed 40 of mine, so a pretty reasonable return there. What do we start off doing? We used our book over here, and we gave our Screamers a 3+ invulnerable save. We also cast Prescience on them. They moved forward to mid-table, and then they did a turbo boost sweep attack, flew over the Terminators and then landed back here and managed to kill one of them. The Soul Grinder here shuffled forwards and moved behind the cover of this big bit of rock, giving him a lovely 2-up cover save, thanks to his Nurgle Cloud of Flies. I fired my Ordnance big template over at the Land Raider and the other 2 vehicles, but scattered backwards. We got night fighting this turn, so everything's getting a cover save. I did a whole point, but it wasn't with that, so that did nothing with the big blast there. The Plague Marines here, I'd managed to get 2 of my Plague Marines. If I go down to a model's eye view, you can see that little blur of red in the background is a Space Marine with a grav gun. So I thought I'd get a sneaky shot on those, picking him out. So I fired my 2 plasma guns. One of them got hot, even though he was re-rolling his 1 from the Land Raider he's parked next, so I rolled a 1 folled by a 1. So that was my 40 points down. And then Chris made his cover save when I hit with the other one.
No,
so
sorry.
I didn't realise that's annoyed me even more. The Crimson Hand Chapter Tactic gives him a 6+ cover save, so he'd managed to gain that. The Land Raider, initially I'd moved it forwards to go and challenge his Land Raider. We've got the bomb in the centre we need to get, and I've got Terminators inside my Land Raider, and because elites are scoring, they could pick it up. But if I move forward, Paul gets to charge me with 16 Black Templars, or sorry, Crimson Templars, how could I get them confused? And his Land Raider gets to multi-melter me in half range, so moving my Land Raider forward and then having to snap shoot my guns just seemed like a poor choice. So I sat at the back and fired my 2 las cannons at his Land Raider and managed to get a whole point on it. Not the worst, not the best. This Rhino moved forward over to there, sticking its arse next to the cover to give himself a better cover save. The Obliterators had also moved forward into that position. They fired 2 las cannons over at the Razorback. I hit it twice, but only managed to get 1 glance out of it, which wasn't good. Over here, the dogs all moved forwards with their scout move. They started back here. They then scouted up to midfield. They then moved forwards over to there, and then they ran into the cover because Paul has kindly bolstered that terrain, so they're now all getting a 4+ cover save, which is quite nice. I moved my Slanishy Soul Grinder forward and decided not to use his special Slanish run move, and fired my Flamer over at this Crusader squad. They've all armed with bolt guns, but Paul had put his scouts at the front to absorb wounds, and the big Flamer that he's got is Torrent, so it could reach them, and it's got AP4, so I scorched off 4 of the scouts from the front of the unit. Takes a bit of the firepower away, which is useful. Moving down to the bottom table, I don't have a whole lot of stuff down here. I threw out the porta potty and it went over here. See, it's a nice little gateway of chaos there. And landed nicely there because it managed to scatter off the board, which means it went back on there. Didn't manage to poop out any demons this turn, but plenty of turns left. Over here, the spawn moved forward and climbed this bit of engine part over here. Paul could go over sideways with all of his Crusader squad at the back and bolt gun me and probably wipe them out, but then he'd have moved his entire squad over to this section of the board, and then there wouldn't really be in line of sight of the bomb in the centre, so I'm uncertain whether he'll do that. Let's see what call he makes. The rest of the stuff, I moved forward the Great Unclean One to here. The Demonettes got a 9 on their run this turn, which was quite nice, so they managed to move forward. They're all taking up positions of cover there, behind a bit of wall, behind a big barricade there. There's a section there, and one of my Demonettes is modelled with extra large hair. If we go round to the front, and she's cunningly covering a load of the Great Unclean One, giving him a cover save. What do you reckon? I reckon that's perfectly legal. Paul kind of laughed at it.
I reckon the hair gets stuff and bolt around. Yeah.
I think it's demon hair, remember? It's not an invulnerable save.
Gel going on there.
The Flamers use their jump packs to move into position behind this wall as well, ready to jump out and flame anyone that thinks that they can carry away the bomb. So quite good movement down this bottom board, but I did no damage to anything on the bottom board because I don't really have range weapons. So not a brilliant turn 1, but as my 2 opponents will say often, my turn 1s are never good, but my turn 2s and onwards are usually pretty sweet. Let's see.
Crimson Alliance, turn 1. So we've got these flesh hounds bearing down on us, so we backed up a little way and spread it out. We're trying to shield this Razorback, and then we've poured our bolter fire into it. There's still 16 of us, so quite a lot of bolter fire. Managed to kill 2 flesh hounds, which was very disappointing. Our brave tactical brethren managed to put another wound on this one, but that's all we managed to do, so I am very concerned that we're about to get wiped out over there. In the centre of the table, the Land Raider moved forwards, disgorged its troops, which have collected the relic, although we were slightly worried about counter charges from these 2 units. We put some fire into the back of the Rhino in an attempt to get first blood, but couldn't manage it. And we were also very worried about these Screamers bearing down on us, so we poured a lot of fire into there as well. I think we managed to kill 1 unit and put 2 wounds on others. So in total we killed 2 flesh hounds and a screamer and a half. Pretty pathetic. Down in the underworld, we have this very sort of cat and mouse kind of game where we are trying to stay out of each other's charge ranges.
It's a very nice way of saying we're being cowardly at the moment.
We're both being cowardly.
I like the positive spin.
Yeah. So the bomb is out there in no man's land, and we've got a bunch of nervous-looking Crusaders and Assault Marines and Flamers and Demonettes. Everyone's wondering who's going to be the first to make a move. The Dreadnought managed to take out 3 Demonettes that were trying to hide behind these crates. Their hair didn't manage to protect them. That's all of us for turn 1.
So, as stated, firstly, Chaos, turn 2. As stated, my turn 2s are generally a lot better than my turn 1s, and as last turn was awful, it was quite likely it would happen, and, well, it did. So, we had a combat in the centre here. Paul had moved forward and got his big blob out. So I fired the Soul Grinder in there, scattered off to the side. I think I killed 2 or 3 models.
Yeah, you killed a Terminator. So I think we lost about 3 models there.
I moved forward my Land Raider there and disgorged my Terminator squad, and they fired their bolt guns into there, and I think I may have killed 1 more model.
1 scout, I think.
1 scout, and then I assaulted with my Terminators. Luckily, my Land Raider was just within 6 inches with his Dirge caster, and the evil sonic waves it put off stopped them firing their kind of 15 bolt guns or whatever at my squad. So I took no Overwatch hits and went into combat. My champion valiantly challenged his unit, and his sergeant stepped forward. I proceeded to bat him round the face with a large mace, and he dropped dead before he could hit me back with his power fist. I praised the dark gods and saw what reward they would bestow upon me, and they said no, not good enough. He was just a sergeant and didn't give me a reward. So then the rest of the combat, my general in there, my Chaos Lord, I think killed 3 Space Marines, maybe 4. And then my other Space Marines are all on Initiative 1 due to their power axes and such. Paul hit me back with most of his squad, and unfortunately managed to kill 2 of my Terminators, so they didn't get to hit back. I then hit with the axe dude that remained, killed another 2 Marines, I think. And then Paul hit back with he's got 3 Power Fist effects. They were all closest to my Lord, so I had to look out, sir them away, and he killed another one of my Terminators. So it was a pretty bloody combat. We're both reduced quite heavily. Paul still got his Chaplain in there and Tech Marine. I've got my Chaos Lord and my Unit Champion. Other things that happened, I got both my Nurgle squads there and there, both sets of Plague Marines. They weren't quite in range of the Land Raiders, so they all fired their bolt guns at Chris's Terminator squad, which was trying to squeeze around the side. He rolled reasonably well for his saves for Chris, meaning he actually passed some, and I managed to kill one of his Terminators. I then decided to take a couple of pot shots. Oh, when this fired, it also managed to get a hull point on the Land Raider, putting it on 2 hull points. So then I opened fire with my Land Raider on Paul's Land Raider, and I got 2 hits, even though one of them was a snapfire because I'd moved. And then I got a glance and a pen, and hey presto, that's 2 more hull points, and it was gone. So Land Raider took 4 hull points and is bugged out, which was not what I expected for this turn, but I'll take it. At the back of the board, my Screamer, and it's not a council, it's just a kind of like a... What's a small council? A subcommittee. My Screamer subcommittee had moved forward in between the Stalker and the Thunderfire cannon, and I managed to squeeze them all into a nice little line there, and then I declared a multi-assault. I rolled really badly on the assault range, which was just what I wanted, and I only got a 3-inch charge, meaning 4 of my Screamers went into the Thunderfire, 2 of them went into the Stalker, and I managed to get 1 of them also into the Rhino that was nearby. The 4 Screamers used their AP1 attacks, AP2 attacks, and took out the Tech Marine quite happily, and he whiffed all his attacks in return. And then I managed to get 1 hit through on the Stalker and managed to take it out because of my AP2 Armour Bane assault attack. So I managed to kill the Stalker and the Thunderfire cannon with that unit, which I need to consolidate if I remember. So moving over to this side, Paul still had quite a lot of Marines around there, and they were behind the cover, and I had my dogs, but I didn't want to assault through the cover due to the fact that I then wouldn't get to strike at initiative and he would get to kill my dogs first. So I moved them sideways in a big pile over here, and I assaulted first with my Soul Grinder. He needed a 9, but because he's fleet he managed to get in there, meaning Paul couldn't overwatch me. So I then multi-assaulted with the dogs. I took out this Rhino with the multi-assault, and I managed to get a few in there. I only killed about 3 or 4 of Paul's Marines, and he killed I think 1 dog back. So it was a reasonably even combat. Paul failed his leadership check, but and they shall know no fear managed to save him. So, pretty good on the top table, I think you'll probably agree. Moving down to the bottom table, I managed to spawn from my porta potty a single pink horror, but he's scoring an objective and can fire 2d6 strength 5 shots, so that's all that's really needed. Over on this side of the board, I moved my Chaos Spawn, and they lined up against this wall, denying a lot of Overwatch shots from Paul's big 20-man Crusader squad. I then declared a charge on them and got on the very end there, basically dragging his squad all the way sideways, and because I've buffed a 6, it's going to take him a couple of rounds to kill me, meaning that my Demonettes, which have moved up here and have grabbed the bomb, will have time to back away and get through the portal over here. In this combat, we both basically smacked each other. I'd rolled the random armour save, and Paul obviously needed 6s to wound, so he didn't really hurt me, and I didn't hurt him back. So, drawn combat, but that's all I really wanted. My Flamers moved up here to block this approach lane to the Demonettes at the back, and fired their Flamers forward. Chris's armour saves came back in with vengeance. By came back, I mean he rolled normally and killed 4 of his Space Marines with his armour saves. So that was quite nice. Then my daring move of the turn. I had my Termicide unit. They have 2 melter guns, so I decided, if I go for a top-down view, I decided to come in about here. So there's impassable walls there, a dreadnought there, squad there, big squad over there. So it's unlikely. I rolled it assuming I'd get a hit, because, well, if you play Chaos, you've got to assume that. But I scattered, but luckily I scattered 10 inches, so I went all the way over here. So I fired my 2 combi melters, and there's a dead ironclad dreadnought. So that was also pretty sweet, worked out well for me. Unfortunately, Great Uncle Nurgle over here, I'd killed everything that was possibly within reach, so he was a bit depressed because he didn't get to try and charge anything. But oh well, there's always next turn.
Space Marine turn 2. So fighting the Screamer Star over here. We jumped out with the
Subcommittee.
we jumped out with the tactical marines here, and these tactical marines also turned and fired, and we also fired the storm bolter from the rhino. I think we managed to do 3 more wounds.
Yeah, 1 removed, 1 wounded.
So we have got 3 healthy ones, 3 wounded ones, and of course the herald making up the star. Over here we had the Storm Raven come on and put some shots into the Land Raider to no avail, past its cover save from this rocky outcropping. In the centre of the field, the Terminators joined the melee, and we now have only the Chaos Lord left to defeat. It's the Terminator Sergeant versus the Chaos Lord in a bitter fight to the death. The Sergeant managed to do excellently in this combat and has managed to reduce the Terminator, the Lord, to 1 wound. I think that's right.
It is, yeah, and I didn't get any wounds back.
Yeah, so if he wasn't fearless, he might be in trouble. Over here, the Storm Raven managed to come on, Storm Talon managed to come on and puts its assault cannon into the rear of the Helldrake. And I've done this many times before, I normally manage to make him make some invulnerable saves, which he immediately passes. But this time I managed to take it down in a single shot, which was fantastic. The Helldrake landed on this Soul Grinder, but Soul Grinder's too busy popping Space Marines into his mouth to really notice and didn't take any damage. This assault here is a complete debacle. We managed to kill a dog and put a wound on another dog. There's 3 wounded dogs in this battle, but we're slowly being ate, and only our knowing of no fear is keeping us there. Down here, this wasn't very good either. The Crusaders have managed to pile in, and we've dealt 5 wounds to these Chaos Spawn, but they're fearless as well, so they're not going anywhere. There's 4 wounds left, so hopefully we might kill them on Mike's turn. The Assault Marines were desperate to try and stop the Demonettes making off with a bomb, so they managed to make a charge round here, and then probably got eaten alive by the Demonettes. Over here, the Dreadnought and the Tactical Squad have shuffled back to make a last-ditch defence, goal line defence of the objective. And that's where we're up to at the end of turn 2. It's been going very quickly.
It is Chaos turn 3. Let's go to the good board first. So, what happened down here? The Demonettes moved round here. They have the bomb with them. They're heading towards this transporter pad that's hiding underneath the cup of tea. There it is. I knew it was there somewhere. They move around there. Some of the squad ran. Obviously the guy with the bomb can't run because it counts as a relic. The portal did not poop any out this turn. The Great Unclean One is moving over there because they've got an objective at the back there. He'll be getting line of sight next turn, so she'll be able to charge in and mulch whatever's there. The Flamers are going with just a mop up if need be. The Terminators have moved over here, and they're near the transporter pad. I may not have gone through the rules for those. Basically, if you're within 2 inches at the start of your movement phase, you may move through that pad to the corresponding pad on the other board, and it counts as disembarking from a vehicle. Over in this combat, this was the best thing of the turn for me. Somehow, the squad of 20 Space Marines plus a Terminator captain failed to kill 2 Chaosborn. There's 1 left on 1 wound, but then it's going to be their turn, so they've lost another movement phase there, so that's brilliant for me. Onto the big board, it did not go so well. Firstly, the 2 Obliterators, they moved closer and decided to fire twin-link plasma guns up at the Storm Talon. I didn't get any hits. Over here, I moved my Land Raider back to put a bit of cover in between him and the Storm Raven up there, and I fired my twin-link lasguns. Again, no hits, unfortunately. The Soul Grinder fired his Skyfire shot up at the Storm Raven and managed to do 1 hull point to it, so yeah, not particularly important. Over in this combat over here, let's go round the table so we can see what's still in this combat. You'll notice the Space Marines are having fun climbing all over a Soul Grinder, but they can't hurt it. But luckily the dogs are there, stopping them from falling back from the combat. My dogs cannot do any wounds. They haven't done any wounds this entire combat, but luckily the Herald on top of the Juggernaut happily dices them up every turn, and the Soul Grinder usually kills 1. So he's got 5 models left. So if I roll well, I'll get that combat over with by the end of the Paul's turn, Paul and Chris's turn, and then I'll get to move and actually do something with the dogs. But it's taken far longer than I expected to kill those. This way, I abandoned these things with my Screamers and moved them forwards. You'll notice there's a lack of Screamers, so this didn't go at all well. So the combat in the centre here, there was my Chaos Lord, and he was being outnumbered by all the Terminators and Paul's squad with his 2 characters in. So I decided I needed to go in there just to lock them in combat a bit more, because the bomb is there, and if they get to pick up the bomb, it's only turn 3, they could have tried to move it to the pad over here and get down to the bottom table. If you remember, they need to get the bombs onto the bottom table to score extra VPs. So I decided to win this combat was my plan, so I put in 8 Plague Bearers, 8 Plague Marines, plus another 4 Plague Marines, plus I put in all of the Screamers. I thought this was going to be auto win for me here. I was throwing about 30 odd attacks plus a load of Screamer attacks. Didn't go that way. Chris could not roll a miss this turn, so he killed half of that squad before they get to strike, and then he made all of his 2+ and 3+ saves, including the ones on his character in the combat, so nothing happened there. He hit me back, but I managed to make 2 invulnerable saves, which was pretty useful. Over here I had my 8 Plague Marines here, and they put, I think, 25 attacks onto Paul's Space Marine squads. I only did 2 wounds, 1 to the chaplain and 1 to the powerfist guy, which was useful because it killed him. But he killed back, I think, 1 of my Plague Marines there, 2 Plague Marines there, and then he killed 3 Screamers. I kept on rolling 2s, and then the Screamers rolled an 11 for their demonic instability because I'd lost combat and the rest of the squad was wiped out. So was not good. So this combat is looking pretty bad. I should be able to hold him up for another turn or 2, I'd think, which will stop him getting the relic downstairs, but he's going to score that relic with those damn Terminators. Let's see.
So, the Space Marines again. We have finally managed to kill the last of these Chaos Spawn. Unfortunately, that's held us up for so long that the Demonettes are now long gone. We're going to have to use this teleport pad to get back up to the surface to see if there's anything we can do to help here. Right down the other end of the board, the Tactical Squad and the Dreadnought are prepared to sell their lives dearly as Great Uncle Nurgle prepares to turn the corner. Meanwhile, back up on the surface, we had the Storm Raven go into hover mode and pick up the Tactical Squad that was in those ruins. Maybe they might be able to do something more useful somewhere else. This Tactical Squad took a shot with their multi-melter into the back of the Obliterators but didn't achieve anything. I'm down to... Oh, there's only 1 guy left. I thought there was 2 guys left. I'm down to 1 guy fighting the Soul Grinder. So that's managed to hold the dogs for another entire round, which is excellent. We were very pleased with that result. And the 2 flyers took fire at the Land Raider but didn't manage to do any damage. In the assault, our brave sergeant managed to take out the Chaos Lord, a mighty achievement, and his name was going to be going down in some kind of roll of honour. And we've taken out 1 of the Plague Marine squads, so we've got a Chaplain, a Tech Marine, 1 remaining member of the Crusader squad, and 4 Terminators bearing down on 6 Plague Marines in the centre of the board in the battle for the bomb.
It is Chaos turn 4. One of our friends is arriving in a bit and we've still got to have dinner, so we decided that we're going to go to the end of turn 5. So I've got 1 more turn after the one I've just had and they've got 2 more turns. So just to know in advance. So top table, finally! My dogs, Hound and Soulgrinder managed to kill the last of the Crimson Templars. So my Soulgrinder is now sitting on top of that objective and with the dogs in front, basically so he can't come over and drop his troops out from his Storm Raven, because I don't want him scoring it. My Terminators, which are on the bottom board, have moved up using the transporter pad, and because they're elites, they can actually score, so I'm hoping that next turn they'll be able to get on that objective. In the centre of the table, now he's killed my Chaos Lord and all my other stuff, yeah, they started to roll bad. I hit Paul's squad over here, and he failed 3 out of 4 saves, so I killed his Tech Marine, his Chaplain, and his last remaining squad member. Then Chris completely screwed up his Thunderhammers and didn't hit me once, so I think I lost 2 models, and you lost 3 wounds at combat. Oh, a leadership test.
Yeah, we lost by 1, so we've got leadership.
Yeah, oh, we didn't. So this is Chris's leadership. Leadership 8 here, he's okay. So that combat is drawing, but it's looking like reasonably likely that we both may stay locked in combat for at least another turn, which would be quite reasonable. I poured fire from the Soul Grinder and the Land Raider into the hovering Storm Raven. Unfortunately, he made his Jinx save against the Ordnance Blast from the Soul Grinder, but I managed to do a hull point with the Land Raider, so he's on 2 hull points down now. I don't think I did anything else on this top table. I've got very little left up here. Down on the bottom table, I moved all the demonettes sideways. You can see them there. Most of the squad is hovering around the transporter pad to try and get the bomb onto the top table. But unfortunately, the bomb carrier can only move 6 inches a turn, and she's going to struggle to get to the transporter pad, unfortunately. I think she'll get there on my next turn, but she won't have any time to actually transport, so the bomb will still be in my base. Over here, Great Uncle Nurgle finally got round the corner. He went round there, and I cast warp speed on him, giving him fleet. Awesome, he was quite a fast Great Uncle one, and he sprinted in and butchered 5 Space Marines. He then moved sideways and shouted, "You shall not pass," at the Dreadnought, because the Dreadnought's still a scoring model, so he could have grabbed himself that objective, but Great Uncle Nurgle will stop him. I have my elite flamers at the back here, so on my next turn I plan to swamp them round there, and then I should be able to score that objective, which would be quite nice. And that's all that happened on my turn.
Space Marine, turn 4. Okay, very quickly. The Rhino is doing some vehicle ballet in an attempt to slow down,
driving.
trying to slow down these dogs coming and reinforcing. We had a terrible round of combat in here in which we managed to kill no Plague Marines with our 4 Terminators and only have 1 Terminator left. The 2 flyers are converging on this objective. They tried to take out the Soul Grinder, but of course he's a stupid Nurgle one that cannot ever take any wounds. Over here we are running forward to try and claim Linebreaker. We should make it there in the last turn. And over here, the Dreadnoughts had a valiant attempt to try and take down the Flamers because they're scoring, but he managed to do 1.5 wounds to 3 wounds, so he killed 1.5 of them.
Okay, it is Chaos turn 5, so we've got to finish up now. We've also taken Marines turn 5 as well at the end of this, so I'll go through what happened in both our turns. In my turn, my Flamers moved forward, and I've moved on to score this objective. Being elites, they get to score. I have my Great Unclean one, he charged forward and utterly mulched the Dreadnought in close combat using his warp speed, which was pretty nice. My Demonettes there have the bomb but can't get it up the transport tubes. Paul, is he still moving, is moving his dudes down here, so there's a lot of dudes in this battle. So they're scoring Linebreaker. I've got a couple of single man units there which are scoring my objective there from the Porta Potty. Over on the main table, amazingly, after last round's killy combat in here where loads of stuff died, this round, and on Paul and Chris's turn as well, very little died. I think I lost 1 Plague Marine to all our attacks, we just kept on whiffing. So at the end of the game they're still locked in that big combat and nobody has the bomb. My Hounds ran forward, destroyed the Rhino. My Terminators that came up from the bottom table have moved over here and are scoring that objective that's in the woods. The Soul Grinder there put some fire into the Storm Raven and managed to get 1 hull point onto it, which was all I needed, and it fell out of the sky. 2 of the guys inside managed to survive falling out of the sky. They landed about there. And the Soul Grinder shot them, didn't do any wounds, so then walked over this bit of terrain and ate them. And then mosey on back. So on the top of the table, they only have 1 remaining Terminator left.
And the Storm Talon.
And the Storm Talon over here. So, and that is the end of the game, as we both had our turn 5s there. So let's quickly do scores. On the top table, I have scored 1 objective. Nobody has the relic there, nobody has the objective there. On the bottom table I have scored 2 objectives and I'm holding the relic. So I've got 9,
11.
10, 11 from those. I haven't killed your Warlord.
You did get First Blood.
I did get First Blood and Lightbreaker, so I've got 13.
13 plus elites.
Plus elites, so I killed 1 of your elites, because I haven't killed the Terminators.
Yeah,
14.
No, 2 dreads.
15. And you killed 1 of my elites.
And that's it.
And that is it.
Warlord, we killed a Warlord. 15,
And Warlord, and you got Linebreaker.
15-3.
15-3. It was quite close at the end of turn 3, turn 4.
No, it's quite close at the end of turn 1.
Yeah, so quick chat about the game because we don't have much time. I think from my point of view, my second turn was phenomenal. My Screamers killed 3 units over there, including the Thunderfire and your Stalker. My Land Raider killed your Land Raider. I got into this combat over here in quite a technical manner, getting a multi-charge on your Rhino and tying up all your stuff there.
The fact we got 1 round of shooting with the bolters and did nothing to the dogs, so then you were always going to overpower them.
Yeah, it was the scout forwards, and then I managed to scout into the cover.
We never would have been able to deal with your Soul Grinder even if we had taken care of those dogs.
Yeah, I think you may have lacked Melter in this army.
Yeah.
I think because I've taken 2 Soul Grinders and a Land Raider, and they're all survived with 0 hull points taken. That kind of shows the lack of anti-air. I mean, Chris rolled really badly with Storm Raven every time he shot it.
Pretty much.
I think we only actually had 1 multi-melter on foot and 1 multi-melter on the Land Raider and 1 on the Storm Raven was all of our melter, I think.
Which is probably not enough in a 3,000 point game.
Yeah.
On the bottom table, it was kind of dictated by the Great Unclean one, wasn't it? You He was so tough. I mean,
Yeah, he took one wound all game.
yeah, you decided not to put anything near him because, well, he would kill anything with the warp speed, which is a really good power to roll on him.
Yeah.
He gets enough attacks to then kill stuff.
And it's the thing he's normally lacking is that he can't run. So the fact
Yeah.
that he's going to get such a fleet, he's going to get a fleet on his charge range is very nice.
He gave him a really big threat range.
And I just messed up with these Crusaders. They should never have.
I don't think you realised quite how tough the
Yeah, I
the
didn't
guys
realise
were.
I didn't realise I'd need a 6 to wound them. So that then took so long to take care of them that the Daemons were long gone by.
Yeah, and that was easily your most powerful squad down here. I mean, if those many people had attacked the Grand Clean one, they could have probably won that with 20 crack grenades plus Power Fist.
The Crusader squads are really nice, but I really wish I could take a bolt gun and take the grey hunter load out. Then if I'd been shooting bolt guns at them as they came in, it would have done a lot more damage.
I think the problem with them is fighting against an assault army, and what I tried to do against them was, if I get the charge on you, I can dictate where they move to. Like I can pull them out of shape. Like down here, it's really important because there's so many line of sight blocking. I managed to get the assault off in this corner, which basically pulled 20 men out of the line of fire. So that was quite useful down there.
But yeah, you were saying earlier, I think we probably brought the wrong army because we took too many assault components.
Yeah.
We thought Zone Mortalis needed a lot of assault. But
Yeah, before the game we knew which each other were playing, didn't we? You were playing New Marines and I was playing both the Chaos.
So we thought we needed assault, but even with assault, the best assault troops, we're still no match for the Demons assaults.
Yeah,
so.
Demon. I mean, the Cat Space Marines, blah.
And very dangerous, but some of the stuff you got on Nurgle just meant he was untouchable.
It was
some of your roles did change him to the point of being scary to just being indestructible.
I think the 4+ feel about that's the best roll I can get on that chart, and that gives him a 5-up save followed by a 4-up save, and his toughness 7 and 6 wounds, and you got cover, so he's pretty indestructible. I mean, your bloody Terminators, you massacred loads of stuff in the centre there.
It was a great day.
I really thought it was going to go badly there. I thought after the turn where my Screamers died and you killed loads of the Plague Marines, that you're just going to wipe me out and you're just going to run away with the relic.
Yeah,
and I thought you might even be able to get to this objective back here.
Yeah, potentially, but didn't happen.
No.
Loss of the Ironclad when he did nothing from that lucky Terminator drop was also quite evil.
What do you mean? It was unlucky. I scattered.
It would have been better for us to lose the other day.
Yeah, it would have been much better. I was quite pleased.
The more powerful dreadnought,
Yeah. Okay, thanks everyone for watching. We've got to tidy up and make and eat dinner all in the next 10 minutes before our other friends arrive. Wish us luck.